and I've had a lot of pets during my lifetime. And I have little dogs right now, Chihuahuas, and the small dogs. I have a small, I forget what, he's a mutt is what he is. But anyway, but I've had some dogs pass on, and yes, I do. Their spirits come to me, and they're around me all the time. In fact, in one of my books, I wrote a dedication to them because they were with me. They were sitting on the bed here while I was writing my book day after day after day, and I dedicated that book basically to them. They have spirits, and
that makes me feel better because believe it or not, I had a part poodle, part terrier that was 20 years old. The last maybe 6 months of its life, it was in diapers. It couldn't even walk anymore. But I couldn't take it to the vet because the vet, when I called him up, the first thing they said, we got to put your dog down. What the dog wasn't in pain. And, me and the dog really, I almost hate to say it. I have 8 kids, but I looked at him as number 9. I mean, 20 years for a little toy poodle terrier mix is a long time. And it was really hard because, that one day I took off to pick up my daughter from work. I come home and I went into the bedroom and I knew the dog was basically hanging on to say goodbye to me. Because as soon as I picked up my dog, I put it in my arms, it died, and I think it was just hanging on for me to come back in the bedroom to say goodbye to me. And it was one of the hardest things, honestly, I had to go through. Really hard.
I've had a couple of them myself that just tore me up when they died, and then they stayed with me after they died. So, animals, especially dogs and cats, they have a love that, what do you call it? Just a love that never dies. And when you die, that love is still going to be there that they had for you in this life. And I strongly believe this. They were, one of the things that they told me is the pets that you have, when you move on to your afterlife, those pets will be with you in whatever place, wherever you go. So I believe I'm going to have a small farm when I end up in a place where I'm going, because I got 3 dogs right now, and my wife and I have had up to 6 dogs at one time. So we'd have cats too, but my wife is allergic to cats, so we can't have them unless she takes shots and pills and everything else. But
I don't know. See, cats, I've seen, where, dogs actually, when their master has died, lay on the grave and starve themselves to death. Cats are funny because we do have a cat in the house. And you know what? That cat is, it's affectionate and loving cat. But if you don't feed it when it's hungry, it'll come up to you and it starts biting on you like you're a steak or something. It wants to eat you. And I never had a dog do that to me in my life. Like I just don't think cats have the same love that dogs can develop. And you know what? It's really, my mother. I was going to say this real quick.
My mother had cats also, and she had this one Siamese cat, and she named him Charlie Chan. But she had asthma too, pretty bad. And this crazy cat would get up on the back of the couch, and he would stand by her with one paw on each one of her shoulders, and he would knead her just like he was giving her a massage. And I truly believe that cat was helping her to breathe. And I never seen anything like that before in my life either, And she had a love for that cat that was unreal, and that cat loved her too. You could tell. But unconditional love. That's what I was trying to say. Unconditional love these animals have.
Oh, yeah.
And that love does not go anyplace when they die. It stays right with them.
Now, you can call me crazy, Alan, but you know, it's funny because it's only been a week since my dog died. But you know what? I go to bed at night, and I swear to God, the dog is still laying where it would sleep next to me. Here I'd be in bed, sleeping or just about asleep, and all of a sudden I feel like the bed move and like the spring go down and then back up. And then I look, and there's nothing there. Interesting.
I'm trying to read him right now. Was he black?
No, he was kind of like a, terrier color, kind of grayish, brownish.
Okay. Well, I'm not picking up on him. There's so many. You must have had a lot of animals too. But
well, we have a mini farm. So yeah, we got a couple of horses. We got some goats. We got a couple of different dogs. We just lost a goat, pet goat here recently. We lost one of our dogs. They're all at the age, because my kids are all adults now, but when they were like 13 or 14, they had to have cats, they had to have dogs. Then, when they move out of the house, the age goes, and 3 cats have recently died. One of the other dogs died. So we've had, a lot of them die in the past year.
Well, I'm almost positive, Gary, that dog, what slept by you at night, is still doing it. They don't give up their habits that they have just because they passed on. They're still around you. I had a little Chihuahua that stayed around me for over a month after he died, and I finally had to tell him. I could actually hear his footsteps behind me and everything. And one morning, about 6:30 in the morning, I heard a little dog barking out on our front porch, and that's what he used to do when he was alive. And I got up and went out to the door to see, what was on our front porch, and there was nothing there. It was him. He was still doing what he did when he was alive, and he was barking. You could actually hear him. My wife and I both heard him. So I'm just saying that you probably did feel him, and he was probably there. I'm willing to bet on it, and he'll probably be around with you for a long time. Just because I don't feel him so much anymore doesn't mean that he's not around me still. I felt his little spirit plus about 3 or 4 other little spirits around me when I was writing that book. And so I know they're around me. I know I got spirits around me all the time. No, I've got animal spirits. I got people spirits. Your show is one of the very few shows that I've been able to be on without something going on, like feedback or some strange noises coming across the airwaves and stuff like that, because spirits, especially ones that want to be heard, they can play around with your sound equipment. And when they get anxious and they want to be heard, they can mess the radio up, You can end up with a lot of feedback and stuff. I'm a co-host on a radio show on Saturday afternoon, Crossover Connections. And the feedback was so bad on that one time that I actually had to command the spirits to settle down and to be quiet so we could deal with them. It was just so bad. And they did. The feedback went away, the weird noises went away, and we were able to finish the show.
Well, but, maybe it's all the audio equipment I have in my studio. My studio is in the home, but it rivals virtually any radio station studio. The equipment
really?
I have. I mean, I have all the same equipment the radio station would have, minus the transmitter. So, we normally transmit out on the internet plus satellite to the radio station. So, we're a mini radio station without the transmitter here. I mean, I've been in broadcasting since 1976. I told you, I'm an old fart just like you. And, I'm a fanatic. I want a good sounding show. And, my wife still, is not talking to me for the last year. No, it's not true. But I mean, I probably spent as much in the studio as it would be going out and buying a new car.
I bet you did. Yeah, really.
Yeah, that's why my wife didn't talk to me for a long time. But that was nice. No, actually, yeah, we got a good love-hate relationship, and I love it.
Are you a medium too?
No, just medium large.
Medium large. Most generally, I can pick up on a person that's a medium or whatever.
No,
I had this lady call in, this girl call in. She was a young lady at one of the shows, and she said, "Mr. Wright, can you help me?" And she was really upset. She was crying. And I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "What is wrong?" And she says, "Well, she says, I think I'm going crazy." She said, "I've been to psychiatrists, and she said, they're not helping me. They put me on pills." She said, I take these pills, and I feel like I'm just dead. She said, I have no emotion or nothing. She says, I can't live this way. She said, "Can you help me?" I think she wanted me to heal her. And I said, "Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just talking to you this short time." I said, "Do you see people that's not there?" She says, "Yeah." I said, "Can you hear people talking that's not there?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, I believe you're a medium." I said, "I'm pretty sure you are." And she says, "But," she said, "I've seen some awful, terrible things." And I said, "Look, dear," I said, "I've seen some things that would make a normal person run down the street with their hands over the head, just screaming and yelling." I said, that's part of being a medium. But what you need to do is learn how to control it, learn how to deal with it, and understand it. And I said, you need to go to a person that's a medium and just talk to them, and then let them talk to you, and let them tell you what you need to do. You know, by the time I got through talking to her, she was all calmed down, and she realized that that's what she was. She was a medium, and the things that she was seeing is what mediums see. And a lot of times, doctors, especially and psychiatrists, they will mistake that as being, they're having a psychotic break or something, and it's just not that at all.
Well, it's strange how it can come on. Like, I had one guest on, and she's been on a couple of times on my show. I think the last time maybe was about 6 months ago. But, what happened with her is her and her husband were in the car, and he got hit, T-boned, and he died right in front of her. Now, she never had any medium capabilities or even thought anything about that. But then all of a sudden, her husband started coming to her after, his death while she was in the hospital. And then over a course of a couple of months, all of a sudden she started seeing spirits. She started, in other words, it hit her within a couple of months. She became a full-fledged medium. Have you heard of things like that happening?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The host of crossover connections was basically like that. She was in a car accident, and in the course of it, she was like wedged in the car, and they knew she knew that they weren't going to be able to get her out, and she knew she was also dying. And she said all of a sudden she levitated. She felt her body being levitated. Now, I got to tell you, Gary, us humans, we have powers, untapped powers, that we don't know of. And only in certain situations, those powers are tapped into accidentally, I think. But she levitated, and she was able to levitate her body over to the other side of the vehicle, where it was going to be easier for them to get her out of the van or out of the vehicle, whatever. And she said at the time she was quite heavy. And so she said that happened. And she said also after that she became, she was a medium. Same thing. She saw spirits. She could talk to them. They talked back. And I'm telling you, she is good. I don't know if you ever heard of her. You might want to get her on your show. I know she would come in a heartbeat. Her name is Barbara Patron.